Hi everyone, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Nicole, and we're living in our now.
Welcome back to our channel for another campground review.
Back in October, we spent one full week at the Verde Valley Thousand Trails Campground,
which is located right outside of Cottonwood, Arizona. So before we get into it, I just wanted to note real quick that this is not a review about the pros and cons of a Thousand Trails membership, how we feel about a membership, or anything else. When we bought our camper at the beginning of this year, we bought it from Lazy Days RV Sales here in Tucson, and we got this complimentary 13-month trial or 13-month membership trial to Thousand Trails. The Verde Valley Campground is the only one in Arizona that doesn't have age restriction. And since we had free camping and we had a week that we wanted to go camping, it kind of worked out perfectly. So that's what this review is, strictly about the campground.
Yes.
So if you're excited to hear our review, let's get started. But before we do, make sure that you hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed already, we'd love it if you would consider subscribing. It helps out the channel immensely, and we'd love to get to know you.
With our campground reviews, we like to go over 5 different topics.
First, getting to the campground. Second, our opinion of the overall site selection and layout.
Third, bang for your buck.
Fourth, what kind of nature is there around? And lastly,
what's nearby, what's there to do.
And with these things, we don't give it any type of rating scheme. We just talk about them because it's really opinionated. We just want to talk about what our opinion is. So let's get into it. So getting to the campground is really easy. It's one exit off of I-17, which is the north and southbound freeway that runs in Arizona, and just take 260 and head west. The one thing to note is that you go through a bunch of traffic circles instead of traffic lights, which I imagine is designed to make traffic flow smoother, but when you're hauling a trailer, it's a little bit frustrating because not everyone knows how to use traffic circles. Drive down 260, go through the traffic circles, and it's really hard to miss the campground. The road is actually called Thousand Trails. You take that, there's no restrictions as far as rig size or anything else. We saw giant diesel pusher, Class A's, fifth wheels, and tiny travel trailers like ours. So really easy to get to the campground.
This campground has 340 total sites.
They all have electric, water, and sewage, so they're full hookup. One thing to note is that they all have 30 amp service, and if you want 50 amp service, you have to pay an upcharge. The first section we tried out was full, which I'm really glad because it was pretty tight anyway in there. So we went all the way down to the B section of the campground and found a spot there. So the campsites first come, first serve. And the other thing to mention is in the A, B, and C section, all the campsites are pull through, but they are really interestingly laid out because your campsite is opposite of another person's campsite, which is great, but your utility sides are back to back, so one person faces this way and the other person faces that way. And if you have a camper like ours where you don't have any campsite windows, then your only options for looking out the window when you're eating dinner is the backside of the other person's RV. But other than that, the sites were laid out well.
Pretty level.
A lot of them had trees. We were lucky enough to find one that had a grass patch, which was kind of beat up, but it was still a grass patch. Our spot was really, really good. It was nice because it was at the end of, or at the edge of the road, so there wasn't another camper on the other side of us. So we kind of were able to sit out front and just look towards the trees, which was really nice.
And now we'll move on to bang for buck.
As we mentioned, everything that we did related to the campground was free because we had the free membership. So take that with a grain of salt. But I believe if we would have paid for this, it would have been $50 a night, which all in all isn't terrible for the amount of things that they have available. Yes, it is in the middle of the pandemic, so not everything was open, but they still had a good amount of things available. As I mentioned, all the campsites are full hookups, which is super convenient. You don't have to worry about a dump station. They do have a dump station available, so I don't know if you don't want to dump at your site, it's there. They also had some cabins available for rent. They had sections for tent camping. Our section that we camped in was near the pool and the basketball courts. I believe there was also like horseshoe pits.
And the like rec center common area, which
they didn't have any of like the programs that they normally offer. I think they offer game nights and other events for people who are living there more long term, but that was one of the things that was closed due to COVID. The gentleman at the entrance gate told us that there was free Wi-Fi available near the lodges, but free Wi-Fi at a campground is never reliable, so I tried once when we were up there and it didn't work. So it's okay, because as we mentioned before, we're not full-time. I don't have to worry about working on the road or at a campground, so that's something that we didn't have to worry about, but something to keep in mind.
And also in the section that we stayed in, the cell service was not very reliable. It worked okay for phone calls, but as far as text or just trying to get on the internet, it did not work.
Yeah, so something to keep in mind. I don't know how it is for other providers, but we both have Verizon, and as Nicole said, there was no Verizon service. But all in all, if you're going to pay the $50 a night, you still do get a lot, and it was cool that the pool was open. That was a surprise. We saw a lot of people using it. It was something that we were not expecting, so we did not pack, and plus it was October. Even though it is Arizona, it's still a little bit cooler for us to want to go out and jump into the pool. So one of the things that kind of surprised us about this campground is how much natural beauty there was around. The campground lays on 300 acres, and there is a actual river that runs adjacent to the campground, which if you've ever been to Arizona, us having water in a river is not a normal thing, so that was really cool. There were several
Walking trails through the nature, plus with just the campground being so large, there's plenty of area to go walk through the campgrounds.
and our campsite was close enough to the river that when we'd sit outside, you could actually hear the waterfall. And that was, I think, one of the coolest things is that it took us like maybe all of 5 minutes to be able to walk through the little gate and the path. It was a pretty trail through the different trees. Some of them were changing colors, and then we got to get to the point where there was a flowing waterfall. Not very big, but the volume of water that was going across was really impressive. We were pleasantly surprised by the amount of nature, and again, the fact that there was a flowing waterfall, huge bonus. So if you're looking at camping in this campground, I would highly recommend going to the ABC sections, because that's all the area that's close to where the waterfall is, and you don't want to miss it.
And lastly, what's it nearby?
So if you've watched any of our videos, you know that we still have yet to conquer the going out on a trip without needing to get to the store the first or second day. So thankfully, even though this is in the middle of nowhere, it's only a 15-minute drive to the nearest town of Cottonwood, Arizona. And Cottonwood was nice because it had grocery stores, it had, I don't know, a Home Depot and a Lowe's if you want to build something. There was a lot of options, and it was only 15 minutes away. But aside from conveniences,
There's lots of great places to go view nature.
and just destination places to go visit as well. The town of Jerome, which we visited, and you want to make sure to check out that video up here
We're here.
or there. Check out that video. Is only about 30 minutes away. The beautiful town of Sedona, which is going to be covered in a future vlog, is about 40 minutes away. And then if you want to venture all the way up to Flagstaff and visit the tallest peak in Arizona, that is an hour away. All in all, it's a really great spot to be away from everything, but yet really close to conveniences, as well as makes for a great base camp location to be able to go visit a lot of the other destination areas. So overall, we really enjoyed our week that we were able to stay at the Thousand Trails Verde Valley Campground. I believe we have until April of next year to be able to finish our membership trial run, so we might try to squeeze in another trip up there, because it's a really cool area. If you're looking for an area to stay for a week or whatever, highly recommend it. Great amenities, great location.
And close to lots of other places to go visit as well.
And if you found this campground review helpful, we would love it if you would go ahead and smash that like button. It's free to you, it doesn't give us any money, but it really helps the channel grow, reach more people, which is awesome. And if you stayed in Verde Valley, go ahead and let us know in the comments what your thoughts were on the campground, and if you have any other opinions about some of the things that we covered. So make sure that you're subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any of our future content, because we have a lot in store coming up for you guys. We appreciate every one of you. Hope you guys are all staying safe. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you next time.
See you later.